Now, right? 2026 is upon us.
Yes, so we're into a new year. And I want to say, so we're on season 2 already of the Quantum Living New Earth podcast. We are doing 17 episodes a season. And all of you who know.
I was
But
gonna
I
say,
want
right?
to say, now that we got into this, so Allison and I've been working on my podcast and being a podcast. I just walk around. I'm a walking podcast. But
Right.
we finally got it together. I finally got it together and got it recorded. And you guys are loving it. And I'm loving talking about all the stuff that we're talking about and getting this kind of, I feel like it's like a new voice, a new fresh voice. And Allison, so why is Allison with me? Allison is my co-host. She jumps in while she's in Arizona. I'm in upstate South Carolina.
Mhm.
And we met through this process of awakening through I chose TikTok as my avenue to reach humanity. And Allison in particular was one of the souls that I wanted to meet. And we connected. She reached out to me. We have a really unique relationship because we connected on the fact that we both come from religious.
Mhm.
He comes from kind of a Mormon, like heavily
Mhm.
Mormon. I come from
Mhm.
evangelical Christian, so much. And
Right.
it's it, that frequency connected us. We felt it, we saw it in each other. And then she's in her workspace as a nurse. And then I'm like
Mhm.
the antithesis of that, which, it just created this dynamic that Allison was meant for this time to be awakened at this time and to help move humanity through what we're going through in this manner of we've been in religion, we've seen who we really are, or we're finding out who we really are, right?
Mhm.
And we're connecting on this. This is what Alice and I are connecting on. We're talking and we want to bring you the reason why Allison spends this time and the reason why I'm spending this time together is that together we are creating a frequency for you to identify with
Mhm.
and work out your own ascension process. And maybe even you might feel like you need permission.
Mm.
Okay, right? Because we're going through it, when we're
I was
going
gonna say
through our
when, right?
process,
Each
right? Yeah.
level, right?
So Allison's at a process like she met me, I don't even know how long ago now, a year ago.
Almost a year, yeah. About a
Yeah,
year,
and we
if not been a
coached
year, yeah.
together and all this, and then we decided like it just organically because we're in the flow and we're getting ourselves and we are in the feminine principle. And so we are going with the creative energies. And it's like we were just talking one day, even though we coach together, we do stuff, but we were talking one day and we're like, we gotta talk about this on a podcast. And I'm like, I got my podcast going. I just gotta
I
get it going. But she gave me that extra kind of like, you
Let's do
know,
it.
just that
That's right.
push. And that's what we need, that unity
That's why we need each
consciousness.
other. I was going to say that's the best way to put it is like sometimes you are like a light for me, and other times you're like an agitating piece of sandpaper. It's the best way I can put it.
Oh,
But we
I
do that,
didn't know that.
we kind of put it with each other. Like you either sometimes you need somebody to show you the way, but sometimes somebody's got to be like, move, or even like, remember when you were a little kid and you're getting at the top of a water slide and you're like, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And your mom's like, go, or your dad or your friend, and you're like, okay, it's that same type of thing, even like with these types of changes. It's finding, and that's why we can't isolate, as much as I think we tend to sometimes think we, more, being solo would be more, but we really find, I think, more expansion and power in reaching out and even putting yourself in uncomfortable, situations, like even reaching out to you, or even like I did. I mean, it's funny that I thought TikTok was just silly. I hadn't even been on TikTok until about a year ago. And then I remember just one night opened it up because I had downloaded it during COVID. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are crazy. So I started watching it, but then so I don't even know. It's like by the power of the algorithm, right? I
Mhm.
see this blonde woman talking about, I can't remember something about energy. And I always loved that stuff. But, and so I just thought I'll sit and listen. Then I was like, oh, wow. I was like, this is interesting, because a lot of it I had, it's kind of like when you had read this or studied it before, and then I'm sure other people probably have done the same, dabbled in and out of things, in their lives. And then I kind of put that in the back burner, but then it's like one of those things of when it's who you are, you can't leave it gone forever. It's going to, make
Gonna
you sick.
fester.
It's going to fester. It's going to make you sick. It's going to make you
Yeah.
psycho if you're not, you're not listening to it. And so that's, how even just putting myself out in the, and I'm not one of those people that like it's like
But
contact
nobody
random
is,
people. Do you know what I
right?
mean? Like, it's
None of us
not like I'm
are. And this is the new
messaging like,
way.
right. Yeah, no. So it's good. That's one of the reasons why I've even tried to do this. This is out of my comfort zone for me, is like even to talk about this stuff, because this has always been something that I've been into, but I'm like, I'm a closet person with it. Do you know? So this is not, you can't be in the closet anymore with this. And just as much as other people are embracing their, whatever their form of whatever is, this is me, this is, who I am, and allowing it to be, like you said, you put it out there, allow it to be, for people to learn, to grow, to judge you, whatever. And that's just who we are, and learning
So,
to,
yeah, and this is such a profound thing that we're talking about, because when you're talking about I I'm doing this and deciding to come out, it's like people are probably like, "Well, what do you mean you're coming out?"
right. You're like,
Okay,
wait,
like, if you're gay or whatever, you like come
that's
out
what,
to the
yeah, people
closet.
always, right. And
Okay,
who would think
so
you'd be
this
spiritually in the closet? But I'm sure there's a
well,
lot of people
yeah.
that identify with that. Say,
Well,
right?
and but it's crazy because this is where you and I, and this is where the algorithm found us,
Mhm.
because found each other, because we both have lived heavily
Mhm.
under the frequency of this is what you're supposed to do, this is how you're supposed to live,
Right.
and anything that deviates outside of that is evil, demonic, it's going to steer
Mhm.
you in a bad way, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so we spent our
Long time. Yeah.
entire lives
An exhausting
being
ride.
trying to
Yeah.
figure out, because like I know for me personally, I have had this energy, this dragon energy that I didn't
Mhm.
know how to control it, and it was supposed to be suppressed because it made other people feel uncomfortable. And I took it like, do I smell? Like, what's going on?
Right,
Like, I
right.
don't get it. And so I morphed and I changed and I lessened myself. I tried to wear a messy bun and no makeup, and I did
Right.
it all to try to fit
Right.
in.
Mhm.
And always looking at myself being like, being told that I was too much, or you're too glamorous, or you're too this. And I'm like, I am? Well, why am I like this? Well, why do I want to be like this? Thinking that it was somehow wrong. And
Right,
just
right.
every single thing I did was through this filter that I was wrong.
Mhm. Right.
And I'm doing things, getting jobs, taking courses, marrying people,
Right. The whole
having
thing. Kids.
whatever,
Right. Yeah, whatever.
eating food that I don't want to eat.
Right.
Uh, you know, Alcohol was a big thing with me growing up, that I never ever have wanted alcohol, and I've never felt like pressure. Like I knew that there was pressure to do it, but
Mhm.
I never felt that I had to succumb to the pressure. Like I never
Mhm.
succumbed to the pressure. Like I have
Right.
been drunk. Like this is going to shock you, but I have been drunk maybe 3 times in my life.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's unreal. And I was married to somebody who, you know, it drank a lot and drinks a lot. So it was really hard. And I was feeling like I was left out, you
Mm,
know? I've been left out. And it's like you were left out, not feeling like you really fit in, but you didn't know why.
right. Right.
You didn't know
Well, you
what
keep
it
trying to,
was. And
when you
that the
keep trying to
spiritual
change,
thing is what it is,
hmm right. And you keep trying to change, or, I mean, I did for a while, is just
like a
trying like,
pretzel.
yeah, when I think some of it too was just trying to fit into something just to not be, I think it came from just some of those like,
Noticed.
yeah, noticed, or just not to have anybody be like, oh, you're so
Yeah, so
annoying,
you
or
can just
oh,
not be bothered or whatever.
yeah, right. Yeah. So I don't bother anybody. I guess that was my thing too. It's like I always didn't want to be the one to, because I remember that was something that I think got drilled into my head from when I was a kid. It was like, well, just sit down and shut up and leave
Are
us
you a
alone.
middle
Like,
child?
first, oldest actually,
Oh, oldest. Okay.
but I have only one brother. He's like 4.5 years younger than me, but I was the not the golden child. How's that? Do you know what I mean? Like, so I was not the family favorite, put it that way. So that was, it made for, and I was a talk too much to, like one of those things. So it was more of like a maladaptive thing to just, more just be quiet. That was something. So then I learned to just perform through whether it's how I acted or through school. Cause if I did that, then, that's how I could get that. I guess maybe that's how I hit that praise that I wanted or something, was from doing well and performing, that way. But it was a literal performance, and it took a lot of energy to do it because it was so hard because I didn't realize I really had really bad. I'm sure you could probably tell. And if anybody listens to us, some of what people would call, and I call it now just being a little neurodivergent, right? A little ADHD, just a little, but that's how my brain works, And so, but I can focus when I really want to. And that's one of
It's
my
called
superpowers.
quantum. It's
Right.
called
Yeah. I was going to say
quantum.
quantum. Yeah. I was going to say it's like being little, and
It
that's
really
fine. And
is. You have a
yeah. And
quantum brain. We are not meant to be in one thing. And they
right. And then,
made up these diagnoses, these
mhm,
labels
right.
that I'm telling everybody, just stop labeling
Labeling.
your
Right.
your divine spark that's flying free. Okay,
Right.
your
And it's
divine
just,
spark, once it gets out, once those frequencies of the programming, the
mhm,
egoic stuff, it's all your ego. Your ego's the one that's telling you have ADHD and that
right.
and
Well, it's
this
like any diagnosis, right? You end up identifying, you only really can claim it when you say you have it. And anybody can tell you whatever they want.
Okay,
It's
when
like,
you say neurodivergent, so
mhm,
what is that word? It means
not normal, right? You're not,
neurologically, your
right.
brain
That's what they're,
goes in diverse directions.
right. Yep.
Ooh, good.
Right.
Good.
And it's funny. Yeah. And it's
Good.
a good thing.
I
It's
want to be neurodivergent. I'm
right.
glad
When
I'm
it's
neurodivergent because then I know
right.
what the fuck I'm doing.
Right. What's funny is that means I can focus literally on six things, but
Anything.
yet nothing at the same time. And you're like, I literally read six books at a
Yes.
time. I don't know if
Oh, you
you're,
saw my
yeah,
book thing
yeah, I was going to
yesterday.
say, I literally have books and I'm reading different things and I have multiple browser windows open. I just pop, it's like whatever pops to me today.
Yeah.
And then I find, yeah,
Like, what do I have open right here? It's like everything. It's like yesterday,
right.
I did that
It's like,
video
right.
on the books. And you know why I did that video was because TikTok sends you these songs that are
Hmm.
people want to promote.
Right.
And then if you do a video that's 8 seconds or longer and it gets over 800,000 views, then you get $100.
Hmm.
It's just like a thing that they have
Right.
on TikTok. Well, normally I don't normally participate in that stuff, and normally the songs are not,
Anything you'd want. Yeah. They're
it's
weird.
not,
Yeah.
it doesn't identify. But this song was like, she's reading books and not paying her taxes. And I was like,
Where
ooh,
you're like, this is
that's like
great. Right.
written for me. Yeah. But so I'm like, I was just standing there and I'm like, oh my God, I got all my books here. So I just did
Might as well
that
show them
video
all.
real
Right.
quick.
Yeah.
And it was funny because somebody in the comments was like, oh my gosh, that's quite the library. And I'm like, that's just this week's
Not
read.
you're, I know it's like, I'm like, that's just one shelf.
Yeah. I mean, and my shelf here this isn't even
I know, I
anything.
was going to say, I've got, yeah, stacks and
And the books that I want to buy and the books that are in my computer and all
I can't
this.
wait till we can get everybody's books all together. It's going to be like, I love bookstores and
Oh,
libraries and
I
oh my gosh,
know.
like I lose
I
my
know.
mind.
We're
Like
going to
it's like
be
where
creating the ultimate
ultimate
Akashic
library. Wait till
library.
you to our library. I was going to say, and we're going to have the best Maine Coon cats wandering around in there
Yes, we
that can tell
are.
you whatever you want to find. I was going to say, it's like,
Yes,
yes.
that's one of the things that so Allison and I, as we're just going to organically introduce ourselves and what we're all about.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that Allison and I are doing, and I realized this morning, Allison.
Mm.
Okay, it like profoundly, squarely settled in my heart. We're doing it. We're doing
Mm-hmm.
this. It's like we're at the beginning of the golden age of
Right.
Aquarius.
Well, we
And
got it. And this is
and
coming, right?
Allison and I, we have a vision. We have a
Right.
vision of we are going to be creating a healing center slash spa, which
Yes.
both of our backgrounds literally bring this like
And
woo.
right, both
So
right, put both of them together.
one of my main position people that I was looking for um was so I'm putting together this big healing center and I've had this plan for years. But I was like, so as I'm putting it together and realizing, because for a
Right.
while there, before I realized what I said, I profoundly realized today, is that we are on this timeline.
Yes, that's our
It's
timeline.
not that, oh, Trump is elected again. Okay, I want to show everybody if you guys can see it. This is
Yes,
our
that picture.
dream just because we want to get
There it
this
is. Let's
frequency
see.
out there. I
I got it
loved
on
it
my
this
phone too.
morning seeing it.
Yes.
Um, but you guys
There.
look at this. So
Yeah, you
this
can see it on
is,
it.
I couldn't believe it. So the way this came up, even though it'll be modified from this, but this is
Yeah,
so
but it's that's
close.
the kind of the
The
vision type of
well,
thing.
I had talked, if I could find the videos, I had talked about how I wanted to have a moat, like kind of like
Mm-hmm.
a water around it because I want to use the water to hydro electromagnetic
Right. Yeah.
stuff. It's like all this cool stuff you can do. And it's like down below here, it's like down below here, like, can't you see like cute little
A little
restaurants
right. Yep.
and like,
Like a little town, like a little villas and stuff.
yeah,
That's what
it's
I
just,
and like the little houses and the
yeah.
courtyards.
And I was
Yeah.
looking at this middle part with this pool
Mm-hmm.
here last night. And I was like, Derek, this is like where the H&R Block is right now. Like up in
Right.
the town square, there's a
You're like, this
tax
is
place and a
right.
used car place.
And
And
I love
it,
the fact that there's golden doors. It has that's like
yes,
going in. Yes. Yeah.
it's all the gold and white. And I'm all about the gold, white, and violet. Okay. The violet
Mm-hmm.
flame, which I realized, okay, I just bought this sweatshirt that I'm wearing, and I already have 4 sweatshirts the same color.
Oh, that's funny.
But I love it. Everything is violet. I see in
Right.
violet. I see in violet. Um, but this is what we're doing. So Allison and I, we are going to be coming together in the physical
Mm-hmm.
and other people in the group that I'm putting together. And we are going to be doing this. How it's
We're
going to
gonna yep.
happen, how it's going to happen, I don't know.
It's not for us to decide that
But
part
I
of it. I
couldn't
think it
tell
right.
you 5 years ago how I was
Mm-mm.
going to be sitting here with Allison doing a podcast.
Right. Yeah. No, I wouldn't have said we would have laughed. Right. So there's so
Well,
many
no, I
things.
would have said, well, yeah, I want to do that, but how do I do it? And I have spent copious amounts of money and time to get to this point.
Right. And then now it's so much easier. It's like some of the things like we talked about, the technology of different things is
Yeah.
just, but we are on this kind of interesting. You're talking about timelines. Remember, we were kind of talking about this before we started recording, about how I'm sure we could probably talk about how we, since even Monday, because here we are in the United States. And even if you're not in the United States, I'm sure you're aware because if not, you'd be living under a rock, right? Even if you ignore everything, there's been some big changes in the United States, politically at least. And some people, you've got two very opposite sides, or even maybe of, you have some people that are ecstatic and like, but you have a couple of divergent on that side too. But then you have a whole other side of now that now believes that they are on a complete doom and gloom, ultimate destruction timeline. And I'm like, oh, I can't even like, whoa, what world are you in? I'm like, I'm like, and then I'm like,
Yes.
how can a political figure truly destroy your life like that? That's what I want to know. Why are you giving your power up one way or the other? It's the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Who's got the power? I do. Dorothy had it. You got it. The wizard, what I'm like, you guys know
They
that.
don't even look at the Wizard of Oz. They don't understand. They're Dorothy.
Right?
They got the freaking shoes on. Click
And
them.
I'm
Go
like,
home. It's
go, right? And
inside of
yeah,
yourself. It's not
get it.
outside
Yeah,
of yourself. Stop
it
looking
doesn't matter.
outside. It's
Yeah,
not
right. I'm like,
Hecate. It's not
no,
Trump. It's
it's you.
you.
It's you. Yeah.
Come
It's not,
on.
it's not
I'm
any of that.
serious. This is
I
like
know.
a
And I'm like,
big thing right now.
this is
Everybody's freaking
huge.
out that Trump was
This,
inaugurated or that Trump
and that's,
isn't inaugurated or that
or that he
he
is,
didn't
or
put
he's
his
not,
hand
or
on
he's,
the Bible. He didn't put his hand on the Bible. He did put his hand on the Bible. This is going on. That's going on. What do I do with my life? I can't figure anything out because, woo,
Elon Musk. They all think Elon Musk. I'm like, oh my God.
okay, this is what's
This,
going
that,
on, everybody. This is literally what's going on. And this is where the spiritual thing and
this is where
everybody needs to woo, calm down and
I was going to say,
realize,
get back in here.
get
Don't be
back in
listening.
your heart space and know you do not know that those thoughts that you have, anybody who's saying any of this stuff about, they're upset about Trump, they're upset about Elon, they're talking about Germany and all this. They didn't even know about this. They've never even studied it for one.
I was like, I love how like, and if they did, you know what? They studied the same stuff you and I did, and it was all a scam. If you
But you
really
know
sit
how
and
I know that
talk about
that
Christopher Columbus, people, right?
this is how I know, yes, that this is how I know. And you guys, those thoughts are not your thoughts.
They're not yours.
And
It's the media.
you know how you know, this is how you know. And we can get into how do you know? How do you get to the point where you just are only acting on your own thoughts?
Oh, that's a
You
good one.
have to detox and remove
All that.
all of the programming and all of the gunk. And then
Mm.
when that happens, it happens in little phases.
Right. And that's what I was gonna say. It's like little tiny things. And and it's again, it's a process. And this is a
Yes,
gift, everyone, a beautiful gift. And you still have time to choose to listen
exactly.
to
Your
you.
time isn't up.
No, there's
You don't
no
need to look at somebody like me and think, oh my God, she's got it all together. I'm so far behind,
right.
or be uh like people don't understand because I live in the frequency of my being.
Right. But it took time for it's like one of those things too,
Yeah.
but they also time is speeding and quantum now. So you can claim and move into those things and you can choose
Well,
to
it's all
surround
parallel
yourself.
jumping. Just jump
Right.
into the timeline you want.
Well, it's like what they say, like you inevitably become like those people or things that you spend time around. So do you want to be depressed, miserable, anxious, fat, sick, unhealthy? Okay, great. Go play over there on social media and stay on that timeline. Or do you want to be in the thriving, self-determinate, happy, thriving, those things
But see, I think everybody does, right? Every
they
one of
want.
you are gonna say, I'm gonna take my
Yeah.
monatomic gold.
Ah,
Um, every one
go
of
ahead.
you, every woman, every man, every person
Is it to say they want
wants.
that?
Allison's got hers out too.
Yep.
We're taking our tree of life, which
Yep.
is 8 different monatomics, and it also has an incredible monatomic boron
Mm-hmm.
synthesized with the mana, the gold. But anyway, this I'm not promoting it. I'm just letting you know what it is.
What is it,
Um,
right?
but it makes you a better conductor. Just end with that. But yes, so people don't understand that you can jump on whatever timeline that you can jump on. There's all these different timelines, but what's
Right.
happening right now is the timelines are all merging
Thinking of being at
into
like a
two
subway
different
station,
ones.
right? Either a
Huh?
subway station, think of like a subway station or like
Or
being at a
train
train station.
station.
Yes, train stations, thinking about that, but like you can choose which train you're going to get on. You got time to jump from the one you're on now onto the other before the other one takes off, and
But we're getting
and
down to the date. We're getting down to the date of the
yeah, like,
split. Really,
mhm,
it looks like it's this week of the 25th. You're seeing the split. You see it as far as like people are acting weird. People are choosing different things. People that you thought you knew are acting
it's
totally
wild. I'm
bizarre.
like, yeah,
You
mhm,
yourself are acting
mhm,
totally out of
right,
what you've ever done. If you're being your true essence. See, that's what we're trying to get to. That's the part that I don't know how to I only know how to do it by living it, by like I've cleared the frequencies. So when I
mhm,
first learned this information, so first was learning, like I studied it and learned it. Like, okay, how does it's like I was reading a manual. Like I looked
mhm,
at it at one point, kind of like a manual. This is your machine. This is how your machine works. You have all this stuff that the other side that is no longer in control,
mhm,
put on humans, disconnected their DNA and all that. And you guys should learn about all that so that you want to learn about all that because you want to understand. And like it's like I can picture it. It's like, isn't it obvious? Like when your DNA is separated or split
mhm,
apart or fractured, and then now we're getting energy to put it back together. And
mhm,
then you have more knowledge. It's like I see around me, it's like you just have like words, you just have the DNA
mhm,
is like your story,
right,
and you're just once you clear everybody else's story that's over you,
mhm,
the one that tells you the kind of mother you're supposed to be, you're supposed to work, you're supposed to do this,
right,
whatever, whatever, whatever. Then you're left. And see, this is where the uncomfortable part. This is like when I end up
mhm,
coaching people because they are going through this thing. They're like, oh my God, because their true self is being revealed
mhm,
and it's coming up like these thoughts of who their true self of stuff they want to do, whatever it is. Like, I don't want to live here, or I don't want to be married to this person, or I don't want to dress like this, or
right,
I don't want to go along with this ideology. I've gotten myself sucked into it. How many people have gotten
mhm,
themselves sucked into these weird ideologies and then they feel like they have to keep going
right.
because it's like a trendy thing.
Or even like whether it's your whole life. I mean, like you have to consider, and this is something the first step of any of this as to who you are and like what are you when you don't have those things that were told to you when you were a kid or that you're too much. What if that's not true? I am who I am. I am a fun person. I am great to be around. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not like you finding these little things, these tapes. I know, like our age, it was tapes. Now it'd be like whatever downloads. Like what
Like
downloads have you
MP3
gotten?
files.
Right, your MP3. It's like, and then finding those, and then you'll find they come back. But then it's like letting go of those, and then just moving that and choosing to fill it with something else. It's like you can't just suck everything out and then expect to be a totally different. It's like surrounding yourself with those things that you become. It's like if you want to, I don't know, exercise more, you're not going to go sit on your couch and eat and watch Netflix all day. Do you know what I mean? That's not going to make you have more physical health. So you're going to do those things, whether it's I walk 5 minutes a day for right now to start, but I'm not going to try and go and be like, okay, from now on, I'm going to work out 5 hours a day. You're not going to start from that. It's like starting with those. And so the biggest thing I think is waking up in the morning and saying, what do I want to do today? Who am I?
Yeah.
Those are,
And
and then I'm
not bouncing it off of, or once you
the
bounce it off
right.
of the worlds, the influencer creators, social media people, you're
How
like,
about
oh
pull the
my
curtain
God, they
back,
said I need to
right?
work out this much.
No. Yeah.
and I didn't work out this much, or I don't want to work out this much. And so I'm a loser,
Right. Yeah.
whatever, or I'm look at me. And then you just go and plop down and watch a show
Well,
and
you're
feel
going to be
bad
like,
about yourself.
I got to go out with the moms and go out and do this. And what if you don't want to do, it's like, and then you've got to find your other people. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like one of those things that's real popular right now, like that whole, like, let people judge you, let them do that, but let me find my people, let me create and find those that, it's like you can either wallow in your sadness or wallow in your greatness. I'd rather expect that, you know what I mean? Like being, finding those pieces. And it's like it's exciting. It's like when go on go into something, whatever it is that excites you. It's like you find those things and do those, and for
But
me,
do
it's
you
finding it's
find that process of when you're going through that, you know how you have that process of you're going to the different, you're seeing this, you're like, yeah, I want to be like this, like whatever it is in your heart, and you move
Mhm.
towards it. But then there starts to be resistance through people in your
Oh,
life,
or your
or
job,
yourself, your
or
job, or
your,
whatever.
or yeah, right,
So
or
you
you're
have to
just,
start keep on walking through
mhm.
that
I find,
uncomfortable feeling. And I'm telling you, that uncomfortable feeling, it's like you have sea legs and you're
mhm,
nauseous.
mhm,
Just keep on standing in your truth.
and I
Even
think,
though it's scary, it's scary. Uh, like I even feel like there has been times in the recent where I'm like, it's just me. Like it's just
mhm,
me. Like, and I looked back on the last decade and realized, because that's when I stepped into it a decade ago. I stepped into, I'm going to only go by my heart,
mhm.
only go by
Well,
my heart. And I've lost everybody because of it.
it's wild, isn't it?
But
And
then
then you look back, yeah,
I
other
gained
people.
my life. You posted something on Facebook, I
Hmm.
think, and it was about something like, and I've posted that meme, is something about the universe. You lose all your people and you find your
Hmm.
strangers find you, or something like that.
Right.
And it's like the quote unquote strangers feel less strange than
Then
my
your
family
family.
never, my family and friends, because they were never my friends.
There weren't. That's the thing. It's like you begin to realize that you don't really ever, it's like they all were part, just because they were part of your life or whatever at one point, there doesn't mean, and just because they're genetically related to you doesn't mean they're going to be huge. That's a program, that whole thing that you have to, you know, bow to that or be in that. I mean, that's like, and just adding in and finding, those parts, I think one thing too, like that's been, rather than trying to like blow up your whole life. I mean, that's one way you could do things, kind of like, okay, I'm going to go through and atomic bomb it all and, move things around and do this. Or you can start adding those things in. And you know what? Those other things are going to naturally fall away. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're going
They
to start not be,
are.
yeah.
But I think that
And
we're at a time now that if you're listening to it at this point in the
you're going to
show,
probably atomic bomb a little.
you
You're
need
going to
to,
have to.
yeah, you need to.
Mm-hmm.
And like my husband, we've talked about this so many times because we literally just said, we're leaving.
Yeah.
It took me years to finally get him to do it. But once we did, and he says this, he's like, I actually think it's easier to go through this when you're, because we had to get used to, because we were like a regular Americans, uh getting DoorDash, watching
Right.
our
Oh, yes.
shows. I was
Oh, yeah.
40 pounds more than I am now.
Right. Yeah. Doing all those things. Right.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
remember one time my husband came to me in because I was going through this awakening, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize that it was, this extent. But I was 40 pounds heavier than I am now. He was 150 pounds heavier than he is now, maybe.
Right.
Uh, so it didn't really feel like he was that, but
Right.
he like made a comment to me once about like, oh, maybe we should like lose weight to like maybe we get along better or be
Right.
together better or whatever. And I'm like, I was so upset because I'm like, what? You think I'm
Right.
fat and you think I'm this
Right.
and
You're like,
it's
what
just like,
child? Yeah.
yeah, and just spending this time being okay with where I was and not letting my my weight or where I lived or anything define
Even
me.
Well, I think too, it's your kids too, like our adult children. That's another thing that we have that's a bond. We have
Yeah, we have
two
that in
older
common.
kids and a little one. Mine's a little older
Yes.
than yours, but we've got like that same like little, you've got
Yeah.
two kids from your first life. Got
Yeah.
and
So
then another one.
Allison's in her late 40s. I'm
Hmm.
50, which is
Hmm.
so weird.
I know, right? Well, I'm getting
Um,
close to that. I'm like,
yeah,
yep,
she's
I'm getting
right
close.
there too, but we love it. And
Right.
because we feel amazing, like I can't believe it. I cannot believe the transitions,
Well, I'm like,
transformation that
this
has
is so much
happened
more
to
fun.
me.
Like, I'm gonna say,
My
I
God.
love it. I'm like, you should see the stuff I do now. I'm like, I am like wild now. I love it. Like, it's I'm that,
Ugh,
like I feel
I
like
love that.
I've embraced the crazy aunt motif completely. I'm like, you know what? Sure,
But
I'll be
no, it's the
everyone's crazy aunt,
crazy,
but
sexy,
right,
gorgeous.
just like and just the one that'll tell you what, like they're like when I always have people now, even like younger kids sometimes that I'm connected with, and they'll be like, so it's, and I'm like, they're like, so what do you think? And I've got some kind of, and they're like, of course you've always got, like it's just it's those
Gen
years of
Z,
experience.
Gen
And
Z loves us.
well, I was going to say, and especially the ones of us that have been like, because there a lot of them, their moms haven't gotten into that, but that
No.
we are I say I always tell them too. I was like, a lot of them and watching them embrace their non-conformity has actually given me in a way in our generation, I feel even more permission to be like, you know what, you guys are right. And we tried to be like our moms who, bless them, they were did what not being judgy of that, but that whole generation really tried hard to get us into that. And here we are kind of in
But they
between, like
were
what
pushed into that. They were just
they were too.
basically pushed into, they were so programmed. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where it's important to understand. Okay, because everyone that's holding on, if you're holding on to your mom and all these kind of things, but they
Well,
were
you can't.
programmed and
Yeah.
the frequency of the planet did not support what
Mm-mm.
Allison and I are now bringing forward.
Which we are super excited that we get to
Oh
be
yeah.
first one.
I
Like
mean,
it's
this
like
is unreal. This is unreal. And I
when I
have
love
the
the fact that the
physical.
more people like that, there's more of us. Like, and I don't know, you
Yeah,
start watching people like us on YouTube for a little bit, you're going to start finding out there's some really fun people out there,
there
like that are,
are. And we got to get
you know,
more. We got to get more of
that's the
them.
thing.
Like,
And even being like I say now, like in reality shifters, like even when I meet with you guys, or even like we don't always like everybody say something, you begin to realize that. And there's part of that community too of like realizing that it helps you. It's like when you were like a little kid too, and you find those people like in your, the people who like to jump rope on the, the playground, or the people
yeah,
that love to go on the
exactly.
slide. It's like finding that group that, or the kids that really like to do this, or your chess club, you know what I mean? Like we're like the nerdy drama kids, like that type of stuff. It's like finding your people, but then once
Yeah,
you
it's
do,
like
it's like,
you don't even have to know them. Like you show up on,
mm-mm,
We meet at Sundays at
yeah,
2 Eastern, and Allison comes and she doesn't come, but she's coming more now because she's clicked
yeah.
over that it's
Mm-hmm.
like she doesn't know these people, but no, actually she does know these people.
Well, and I think too, it's like I'm
She
beginning
knows
to
them
try and
better than she
right,
knows.
right. Well, for me, it's a comfort zone thing too to put myself even out on some of those things, and it's like I
Hmm.
am choosing to be less hermit like, which is funny for me to be out here talking like this. You wouldn't think I'm like somebody who's kind of like, and that's part of my thing is again that okay, I'm going to just be who I am, and they love me, hate me, judge it. It's fine. Do you know what I mean? And so I am, this for me is part of that process. It's like, I can tell you, I've been trying to do like my own stuff, and I'm still like, I'm like, all right, I got to do that. I got to do this,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just, now it's like, okay, now I'm like, finally, it's like,
Yeah, because
clicking
I
back
think
into that.
about that you have such a platform to talk to the other nurses
That's
that
what I'm
want
creating
to
right now. Is
leave
putting,
this
yeah,
field and that
there's so
want
many
they're
of them
going
too.
through this agony. When I
Mm-hmm.
went to the retreat last September with Kim McGregor, I don't know if I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
her last name right. Anyway, The secret to everything. So there was a gal there that's in her group, and she went through a naturopathic school,
Mm,
7 years or whatever. And there's different, not all naturopathic, they're just like Western medicine. They're just doing
right.
supplements, right? Instead. Anyway,
Right. It's just, yeah.
but she was so upset that she like we talked and she confided in me and she's like, I'm just upset because I spent all these years in this
Yeah.
school and she has a clinic. Like she has a clinic,
That's even more so. Yeah. Oh,
like an
yeah.
independent clinic where she worked, and her husband, who was there, or boyfriend or whatever, he was a chiropractor.
Oh, goodness. So that's a whole other, like, that's another, like, whole other, like, vibe too. I get
Yeah,
that
so
when you
she
say that.
was really upset because she's like, what do I do? My whole, basically she felt like her identity, she spent all this money, and I said to her, and this is something I really want to talk about, because if you can get past this thing, so you find out whenever you're talking to somebody, what's their motive?
Mm,
If their motive is money, so everybody's is either money or love, meaning like
mm,
me, I have, and nobody believes it. No one believes it
right.
until they get to know me for a while. And then they're like, oh my God, she's
Right.
serious. She
Right.
seriously actually does care about me. Because she's not asking me for money. Okay. But she
Mm,
spent all this money on the schooling.
mm.
So that's why she was upset.
I can see like and I think too, it's like the money, but then maybe the money is like what you kind of also entangled in that is the amount of sacrifice and just the amount of like, you
Well, it
kind of like
is.
sell yourself. You sell yourself
But
in a
it's
way
no
to,
different than being a mother for
right.
18 years and having your
Right.
kids, they just up
No,
and leave, and then they go
you're
and
like,
tell you for the
what?
next 10
Right.
years that they,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
oh, you did this to me, you did that
You're
to
so
me,
awful. Yeah.
and you didn't do anything to, you put your heart and soul into being a mother, making the perfect lunches and doing all
And I
this,
think
being on the
too is,
PTA committee, blah, 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 blah. Now, 18 years later, your career of being a mother is over
it's
with
over.
and nobody cares and everybody's just
Well, and
moving
I think too
on.
is, and what are we doing it for? Are we doing it for the essence of service? It's kind of like being a mother. And a lot of us have probably, and I know you and I have probably both worked through this. And I can't say, I'm not like saying this from like, oh, well, this is how for me was one thing is watching other people and the gift of others being entangled in a mesh with their children and their identity being so tangled into them and watching the way it destroyed them.
And making their
And
kids live
yeah,
their
like, and
unfulfilled
putting them in
dreams.
like their children on this pedestal, and then their whole life revolved around whether so and so is going to let the kids come over or they're going to talk to them. And I was like, oh no, no, no. So for me, in the last few years, I've learned that, and this is something I talk to a lot of people about, and maybe even, you can say it's like I say, as much as I love my children and they are my part of, like once we give birth to them, we nurture them, we do these things, they are individual souls. What they do, whether it is they are the next Elon Musk or the next serial killer, is it really me? No, it's them. I can't claim them. You might have a lot more, like, I can't claim their wins. I can't claim their losses. I don't claim who they love, where they live. It's like, I am me. I need to be focused on me. And if I am loving and putting it from that, I'm giving them permission to do the same, which is what we really want to do as parents. Is it's kind of like kicking the baby bird out of the nest. Who wants a baby bird that doesn't leave the nest or keeps coming back? Do you know what I mean? Like the baby bird needs to be building their own, best life out there, and so for me, I've talked to people, it's like, I love my children, yes, but they are not everything who I am. Neither is my marriage, love my husband, love this. I'm not my house. So it's like, this has been this has been that last year, like this
Yeah.
is part of what you and I have found. And I had, yoga helps a lot with this, the mind body connection, when you really begin to realize you are not this body either. And when you begin to, and if you get into those things of meditation and you can really get into that void, that's what I think. And you begin to find that between time and space and who you are. I mean, I know this is some weird stuff, but you can be there. And then
No, but
that's where it
that's
really
the
helps
law of
you.
one. That's the unity consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And
Where you, yeah.
this space, this is where we are all the same.
And that's where we learn. Yes, I say, and
That's
that.
why we relate,
Mm-hmm.
because this
Mm-hmm.
this in our heart space, the divine
Mm,
spark that has been
mhm.
revealed to us because we've
Right. It's
done
like
the work.
it's
The
like
reason we identify with each other and we're
it's like
totally different.
it's
We're
like
people
this.
that,
It's like being on like the fractals of the crystal.
yeah,
Like one part here, we all reflect
yeah.
parts of the light, but we're
We've
all
returned to the
part of that.
fractal and now
Right.
we're
Yes.
connecting. And it's like when we meet on Sundays or whatever day and
Yeah. And
you
you're
get in there,
finding
those are other fractals that are part of divine
right
source. And
and
you're
the
like,
light that
you
comes
feel
from
at
that.
home.
When I love that. Like I love the fact like even now like finding others that like it's like sometimes like you find that the more that you can and not and some people are going to step up and join and do all of those things, and then there's others that you are serving them, and guess what, I get to come back to this planet and play that again, but who wants to? Me, I'd rather go. I'm sure there's more exciting places out there. You guys have seen some of those photos of the stars and the universe, and I sure hope us humans can expand beyond that, to see more of what's out there. There's so much beyond what we choose to keep so little. Do you know what I mean? Like our bills and going to Walmart, going on vacation and buying the newest Disney movie and doing what it's like once you begin to find that, oh, there's, look at the sky. Do you know what I mean? Really look at the sky, or start looking what's out there. It's like the X Files. The truth
It's
is out there.
intoxicating. That's
So,
the thing is that it's intoxicating. And
mm,
I
but
spent
you love
many
it.
years, like
It's like,
I started my career working at Nordstrom's, working in
right,
retail. Like I
right.
still love makeup and all of that stuff. And it's
And I
kind of
love
like
that. That's
my
one thing I love
artistry.
about you. It's like putting all that, and then it's like I got so much to learn from that side of stuff from you. But I love that
Yeah,
part.
it's
You share
like
so much
this
about
because
the
I tried to
esoteric, like
suppress that.
beauty. Yeah,
I tried to
no.
suppress the I actually have a poem, a book called Beauty and Existence, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
book about beauty and it's an actual frequency. And
Mm,
when I learned that beauty was a frequency that's part of the abundance timeline that we are in,
mm,
okay?
mm,
Because I was discovering who I found all this out, learned all this by learning about who I am.
mhm.
Okay. And I cleared all the programming that didn't allow me to just comfortably settle into who I was and look around. You know what I'm talking
Right.
about?
So then, right. So when we're what kind of things like you're talking about, like removing that programming? I bet someone's like, well, how do you do that? Like, how
Yeah,
did
so
you
it's
find
like
that?
but once I remove the programming, which I'm remove the programming through different things, through different
I
um
think,
through
but like your journal
meditation,
type, I think meditation, journaling, shadow work, right? That's a huge thing.
shadow
Like
work, all
shadow.
that stuff, but what I want to like all the stuff that I talk
Mhm.
about is all to remove the programming and one pointing out that there's programming, then how do you remove
Right.
it through different products and services? Okay, I do the frequency scans, I do whatever. I now see I can see things. I see
Right.
things. I've seen them for a long time. Some of it is you guys just ig- settling in and being okay. I'm giving you permission. This is okay. This isn't evil. This is real.
Mm,
Figure it out who you are. Like I had to be like I was sitting here even like okay, we'll take like these earrings for example. Okay, I hardly ever wear these earrings. These are my amethyst ones, but I love them. But the main reason why I don't wear them or I hadn't worn them, let's say in the past, is I was like, oh, they're too much, you know,
mm,
like I don't want people to think I think I'm somebody. Like that's the kind of
mm,
stuff I would do. But
mm.
once I just started being like, I'm just gonna be fully like, ooh, like I love this. Like I love these earrings, or I love this. I love this
Right.
song. And
Right.
it's like, well, I'm gonna make a TikTok video dancing in the song. Well, what? Nobody, no 50-year-old woman freaking makes TikTok videos dancing. Like that's come on. I just didn't care.
Right.
I didn't care because I wasn't doing it. I don't do anything now. I don't do anything
Or-
now in reference to what anyone else is doing.
And
I
that's the thing.
know
Yeah.
that getting out my unique vibration
Hmm.
is what the world wants.
Right. Right.
We all want, and I know it from now experience, now of 3 years being out there and seeing people like, they're like, oh my God, like I can do that too. And seeing all these women like doing all this stuff and figuring out who they are because I just literally like make the video and click. It's like everybody knows I don't do editing, I don't do anything. It's
Right.
just like send,
Right.
but it's like I still get, I still get comments. Like yesterday, I had that guy that stayed with us, that I let stay with
Mhm.
us.
Oh, right.
Well, when I got my new account on TikTok, I didn't block him, and he had commented on a couple videos I'd done, but I just ignored it because it wasn't rude. But yesterday he commented and he was really rude and he got into this whole thing. And then I made a counter video, uh, kind of talking back to him. But then he left a whole bunch, like over 20 comments. That TikTok like sent me a file saying you got nasty comments to review before we publicize them.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And I opened
Yeah.
that up and I was literally like, what are you doing, Monica? Block him. You're done. Like, you don't
Right.
owe this. You don't need to do this. And that's why I'm not really doing videos. If I do videos on TikTok, it's like because I feel like doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's like I'm not gonna, those low energy, those people, that is in your environment. Your social
Right.
media is kind of like the apps that are on your phone. Like I
Hmm.
need to clean up some, but the apps that are on your phone, that all adds to your environment. That all adds to your
Right.
biofield.
Right. It's the, yeah, exactly. And then the people that you choose to, yeah, you can see, like, I don't know about you, but like some of the stuff you read, some of these things, and I'm like, we were talking about, like, talking about, it's interesting. And you can see, it's like how you're watching it, like the behaviors of people. And then you can either let it, I don't let me get angry. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, that is an interesting worldview. Like sometimes I'm like, wow, your playground's really small. I'm like, I don't want to go over there. Like it's like your world sounds kind of like a haunted house, some of these places. So, but then there's, and then but like you said, it's you don't have to, and you don't have to show up to every argument you're invited to either. You know what I mean? Like I don't engage with people
Yeah.
that, just want to like argue to argue. Do you know what I mean?
I'm
There's
gonna
some
run a
people that,
scan on you while we're talking.
okay,
If you want.
oh, cool.
I mean, you do
It's
want.
like it's not just, there's so much more that I can spend my energy on, and rather than trying to either one argue with someone online. Do you know what I mean? Because most of the time they would just want to bait you. Do you know what I mean?
But
Like,
that gets you into their
yes.
timeline.
And that's why I'm like, no. Yeah. And so you're talking about cleaning up some of that. So it's like really going from the, and it doesn't mean necessarily, oh, get rid of some of these people you do need to release, I think. You know what I
Well,
mean?
they'll
Like
take
some, like,
themselves, they release
they,
themselves. I figured
they
that
do.
out.
And then most of them right now are like scurrying from all of the apps. I'm like, okay, I guess if
That's
you're going to
what's so
go,
crazy is I saw
I'm like, where are
people.
you all going? I was like, you've been addicted to this, to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of it for years. You're telling me you're going to just give it up in 5 seconds? I want to watch this. Do you know what I mean? Because, it's, not that anybody's, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm addicted to it, but I enjoy like looking at people's dog pictures and sometimes with their kids and, so,
Okay, Allison, we have to talk about this, and I want you guys to tell me too. There's almost this thing like we want to say, oh, I'm not on social media, or
oh, I
I
know.
don't
Yeah.
really use it, okay, I look at it, I have fully gone into, I want to get my voice out.
Right.
Okay. I
To
want to
use it for a,
share. If bottom
mhm.
line, least thing, if every single person, not every single person, but the majority of people didn't get on social media for, didn't feel like they had to get on social media and like produce a show. And that's what took me so long to get to get different
Mhm.
things done, because I'm like, oh, and I hired my coach in New York and all this. And like, she told me, oh, you have to do this. Oh, you have to do that.
Right.
Well, okay. So everyone thinks that that's what it is, what social media is. And that and then so they're either on the side where they're creating and doing all that and trying to fit into these little Instagram boxes.
Mhm.
Okay. Or they're like how like we want to be on like you want to be on here, but it's like, well, I'm not on there all the time. I want to stay away from it. Cause I was telling Derek, I was like, because I don't want to be on my phone or like scrolling or
Right.
anything now. I want to be outside and with the birds and with all the stuff that I do. Um, but I had to find a way to get to this point now where I can just come in and do my podcast and get my information out there, but I'm still, and then once we're all living like in the real, that's how it's going to
Mhm.
be. But what
Mhm.
I wanted to say was so many people feel like they have to do some show or do something elaborate where they could just like you with like either your position and everything you're going through with the nursing thing and the
Mhm.
psychological aspect of and the mind F that's being done to you
Right.
to you. Um
Right.
it's like I went through that, but not through nursing, but something else. But that's something that's like you can just record yourself talking about it and that's a
Yeah.
video and that
And
doesn't
that's
mean like oh well I don't want to be like I'm on social media. That's how we're sharing because I'm not going to hear about it.
Mhm.
I'm not going to hear about it. And I had somebody tell me on Twitter or X whatever, they're like, who do you think you are? Why are you acting like you're somebody? Okay, so they said that to me because I just come out and say whatever I want to say because I made the
Right.
choice. I went through that where I was like, oh, I'm not really, I don't want to be on such a, but no, I do. I want to be an active voice in this new
Right.
earth. I am done being silenced.
Right. Right. Mhm.
The feminine principle is coming forward and it is not, and we have to, the women have to come into their feminine and come out and say what they want to say. And that in the it's if you're not on social media doing it, no one's gonna see you.
Right. Yeah, it's true. Because like, where are you going to be saying it? It's not like you've got
I
anywhere
was
else
gonna
that
do
you're.
it here in my town. I thought, okay, I'm gonna move to this rural town and everyone's gonna love me because everybody likes me and blah blah blah. Nope. Oh, people only like me when I'm fit into their box.
Right. Oh yeah. They don't like it
But
when you rock
I'm
the
a
boat.
jack in a box, so I'm
Right.
out. I'm out,
Right.
and I'm a jack in a box that they keep on trying to put in, and that door is clicked. Oop, nope, I broke that thing off, and the jack in a box
Right.
is not going back in. But
Right.
guess what? I had someone from the town contact me yesterday.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, I lost your TikTok. She's like, I didn't find it. And my husband wants to start watching you because I had posted something on Facebook that I had posted 4 years ago. And she was like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, you know about all this? Um, but yeah, that's the only way we're going to get out because I was doing the same thing. And we did need to isolate when we were integrating this energy, this divine
Mhm.
feminine energy that is coming out in us. Our Garden of Eden is blooming, and
Mhm.
it's like, ooh, what are people going to think or whatever? Like, no, people are going to love it. People want to
Right.
see you. We need to see you. We need to see you. We need to see your experience. We want to know how
Right.
you're going
See.
through this. How are you going through this? What challenges are you having? This
Right.
idea, and I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast or if we talked about it before the podcast, but you had mentioned about how people are identifying their lives and their quality of their life and their joy level is based on the fact that Trump's in or not, or Elon's in and
Right.
Elon's
Or is that?
Elon's
Yeah.
doing a
I know.
Hitler
Right. And
thing.
they're everything in their world revolves around those things. And you're like, yeah. I'm like, wait a minute.
Because it's
Yeah. Because
literally there. You guys, you're on a you're in a you're
I was going to
programmed
say, do you really want to be on that? I mean, like which like you're like you can go full throttle down one of those if you want, but like you said,
but you
I
don't.
don't.
The thing is, you don't want to. Your true
No,
soul, the
you don't want to. Yeah.
solar flash that
Right.
we're
Yeah.
having, it's
Mm-hmm.
not about the human renaissance.
Right.
It's not about the human renaissance. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about anything other than internally, you going along with what your divine spark is trying to express. The
Right. You
divine
don't
is
get,
no longer going to be put in the back.
it's like the going to you would talk about this kind of all being like a movie or like a simulation type of thing. And then these are all programs and distractions that you can become. And it's like if you were to get engrossed in a movie and then never leave it. It's like one of those, like, so you can be like, oh, that's kind of, like you watch it more like to be, if you're watching it just to kind of see, because like a lot of it's very like, um, like there's a lot of coding and different things that you could probably learn from watching some of those, but it's not
Do you mean the
the
media?
show of the government, all this
Oh,
stuff.
yes. Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing is like I posted on X because once I realized this like solidified last night about this whole
Mm,
thing, that it's not that I'm not on the higher timeline. I am.
right.
It's that, and there's many different timelines within the higher timeline, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm on full creator timeline,
Right.
and I am not
I am on
gonna.
the golden age one. I'm going on the golden doors, golden age, talk to the animals, dance around. That one,
Yes,
the fun
yes,
one.
and
Yeah.
that is already. I mean, I'm already, and Derek are we're
We are
Nat.
creating it.
We're
Yeah, I was gonna
already
say.
experiencing this. I
Mhm,
already hear my animals, and I'm not trying
mhm.
to sound loony because I
No,
know
but like that, yeah, like communicate. Yeah.
I'm oh my gosh, there's deer literally
Whoa,
like boop, 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 boop
so cute.
all around on the field. Um, but I am conscious enough to know that that sounds crazy. But this is already available, and now more people, okay, more people are starting to realize this. Like, the forest, like we always send all these forest pictures.
Right, right, right.
It's just crazy because we created that. Like we created those pictures, like to come on
Mhm,
our timeline, and through like I created them through uh AI creation,
mhm.
just for fun. And you know how I like put in whatever my words that come to me, and that
Right.
came up
Yeah.
with this whole timeline. And then it's like you were on this timeline, and then you are creating these pictures. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like you know how we were like seeing like we're together in the forest.
Right,
I don't
right. Yeah.
know. Like we are. Like we're together in the forest.
Right. All the well, it's like
And
again,
it's
like evolve.
coming out. It's just so wild how this frequency is now coming into the physical.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, if you look at like everything that's going on, okay, with Melania, Barron, and all this that they're showing. So, depending on what timeline you're on, which you could also say it like this, depending on what level of consciousness or awareness you have.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So, like, I look at everything like I'm like way out here, and I'm like looking at like I know all the information and all this, okay? But most people are looking at it where they think, like I watched this video that I thought was going to be good yesterday. I could only stomach 5 minutes because the guy started crying when Trump introduced Barron and started saying like, "Oh my God, it reminds me of my own son and how he's."
Wow.
It's like that's not what that, but that is where he is at. That's the timeline
Right.
he's on, and that is what the narrative was
Oh no.
trying to
Yeah.
pull at the heartstrings
Right. Yeah.
and to get people, and I can see it. And then like what, let's talk about the whole trad wife thing and that whole
Mm-hmm.
narrative and the alt-right conservative.
Right. Right.
Okay, that that is the same as the left
Right. Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. It's just two.
side.
It's a different side of the coin, but the other
Yeah.
side. Yeah,
The
it's
mega
like
church trad
mhm,
wife come home,
versus
and then you guys get on, you get on social media. It cracks me up. You think that you're these little girls, and they are little girls. They're like 23 years old, and they're like
mhm,
telling so the other little girls how they're supposed to be home and make dinner for their husband and perform
mhm,
for their husband and be in their role. And
right?
did you see that latest thing going on with that, with the whole Hecate thing that the gal, she's like a trad wife or something, and she was telling everybody about Hecate.
Mm,
But she's doing everything from an ego. It's not from, because you
right.
know how like when we found out about Hecate, it came into my mind like I'm looking at my dog
Right,
Lucy, and it's like I heard that name.
right, right.
I don't even know, because I this spirituality, these people that are like spiritualists and that read the tarots, and they tell you that they have these things. Okay, they are following just another, like
Another thing, yeah.
they're following another religion, another thing.
Mhm.
And that's why like this chick came out and said, "Oh, I don't follow Hecate anymore, and you shouldn't either. I now follow Jesus Christ."
Oh goodness. Is that what she said?
That's what she
Oh
said.
my
And
gosh.
everybody on TikTok, the little other little girls, the other women that are going through this, they're some of them are upset, and they're saying, and I get it, because it's like this, you should not be going on to social media or otherwise telling people like, "Oh, Hecate is speaking to you if this, and this."
Mhm. Right. Yeah, you
And then Yahweh is speaking to you if this, and this. And if you don't have this, then you're not doing this. And then that's
right,
not
right.
this.
Yeah.
Okay. So your whole entire spirit. So my spiritual life, that's why I'm so unique, because I don't have, there's no rules.
Right.
There's no rules. It's like people do tarot, let's say. Well, I was like,
Mhm.
it started getting into my, well, I did a metaphysical
Right.
course that I took in, and I studied because I
Right.
wanted to study all these different things and understand what is tarot, what is it doing,
Right, right.
what happens when I wear this crystal or I hold this crystal, because I started wanting to find that out, because as
Mhm.
I was awakening, and then I find out, I go to these stores like, "Oh, like what kind of crystals you're supposed to have, and you're supposed to put them in front of the moon and all this." And it's like they have like plastic crystals. Oh, look at my cat
I
back
see. Oh
there.
my gosh.
He's so funny.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
Ginger. She's a lilac
Ginger. Oh my
British
gosh, look
short
at her.
hair. Yeah,
Oh
she's
my
a
gosh, look at her.
Cheshire.
She's like, "I'm back here." Oh my gosh, she's funny.
Well, okay, so the cats are really, they're nuts. They're all in my office, and they're in my bathroom for the
Oh
last
geez.
week, 24/7. They're
Look at
like
her.
in there. She's on the chessboard, and then there's
Yeah,
the
she's moving the
apple.
pieces, right? Look at her.
I know. I don't
Oh
know
my
why
gosh.
she's up there. She must see something, or
Yeah, she must be. She's looking for something.
yeah. But this, your spirituality, it becomes your
Right,
unique, your unique
like
way of
expression. Right,
being.
yeah.
It's like I use crystals as tools, and they bring in the frequency.
Right.
I'm really connected with the
Not for anybody else to, you know, not if they do it. Did you freeze?
oh no, but you're freezing.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh my
This is
gosh.
weird.
You're like
Oh, there
frozen?
you
There we go.
are.
Yeah, I was like, you were
Uh,
frozen for a second.
what's
Oh
weird
wait, now
is
we're
you
good.
were frozen, but
Weird.
I
And you were
wasn't
frozen for a second.
frozen.
Oh my gosh, that's so
See, you
weird.
guys, our frequencies are like locking up. No.
That's so
Um,
funny. Now it's back. Weird.
yeah, but it's just, the point is that you can be any way you want. There is
Mhm.
not, you don't need to have a beige and white kitchen if you don't want one. Okay.
Right.
You don't need to wear beige and white clothes
Right.
if you don't want to. Like, whatever you want to do, just do it. Do
Right. And
it.
it's like, don't have to, be any, yeah, just because your friends are wearing it doesn't mean you have to do it.
But
It's like
don't
one of
make
those.
other people see. This is where all the division is. So, everybody that I'm divided with right now, well,
Mhm.
they're divided with me. I'm just sitting here. But every person, they're divided because they aren't living the way they want to live. And they're
Right. So
not
they think they have to
doing,
tell you what to do.
yeah,
Right.
they
Yeah.
want me to stay in my box and stay in my role so that their role doesn't get questioned.
Well, it's like way easier to be around. Like, it's like if you want to, like, it's like anything, like people who like to drink a lot like to hang around other people who drink a lot. Do you know what I mean? Because then they don't feel bad
Yeah.
about the fact that they're drinking, you know what I mean? Or they're
Misery
eating
loves
or they're
company.
shopping. Yeah, I was going to say it's like one of those things. So if you, by living, doing your things, whether it's dressing a certain way or expressing yourself a certain way, it's like as you are, doing those things without feeling like you need permission, it's almost like it awakens that within somebody
It
else.
it awakens it within some, it stirs something in somebody else, especially
I
if,
did
like,
that.
I know for me personally,
Mhm.
because I work with so many women and talk to so many women, and I have so many women that tell me, tell me after time, but they're just like, they want to be out there. They want all this. They want to be free. They want to be free of whoever they are. They don't know who they are,
Mhm.
but we sit around lamenting and going on about how difficult this all is
Mhm.
instead of just living.
Mm.
And
Right.
what does living look like? Living looks like me getting in my heart that I want to get peacocks.
Right. And then getting
What?
them.
You can't
Yeah.
get peacocks? I can't?
Right.
Okay, I'm not gonna get peacocks, but one day I have this dream to get peacocks. And it was like this dream, like the dream, like our healing center. That's what my peacock
Right.
felt like.
Right.
And then I got on a live one day and I said, "Oh, well, if it's true, Monica, that you can have whatever you want, why don't you ask your," at the time I had, a couple hundred people on live. So I'm like, let me ask them. They must know about peacocks. They could tell me because I didn't know. And I thought, like, what do I need? What do I need to prepare for this? What do I need to have it?
Right. Right.
And it's like once I found out, and then I got my peacocks as babies at 8 weeks old. And then that created a frequency. It at first, Derek was really like irritated.
Right.
And he literally came in during the live and he just said, no. Because we were supposed to, I was like living in my box. And I was like,
Right.
okay, hun, I mean, I want to have chickens and like I want to have my own
Right.
eggs and I want to have a garden to grow my own food because the world's gonna get really bad,
Yeah.
and also I can't eat the food from the grocery store
Right.
because the more you clear your frequencies and the purer your body gets, you cannot eat that food.
No.
And if you do, you pay a price for it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I was telling him all this, like explaining all this about growing all and doing all this. And I mean, he thought it was nuts. But I just kept on pushing forward and became, I'm becoming, makes me think of Michelle Obama. I became who I was, who I
Mhm.
am. I'm doing this. We are becoming
Right.
individual souls, full souls within a marriage that
Mm.
was originally brought together through, okay, I'm married. This is my role. This is what I'm
Mhm.
supposed to do.
Right.
Then when I awokened to realizing that I wasn't living who I am,
Mhm.
then I wanted to start coming out. I want the chickens. I want the ducks. I want this. So then I'm just giving this as an example so you guys can
Right.
see because I really like to give real things.
Right.
So then I had to push and risk. Maybe Derek's going to leave me. Maybe he's, whatever. But I had to deal with him with just him being mad and it being stressful and all this. But I was like, I don't care. I know that living in my true essence, which is
Right.
the divines, it's the divine. My
Right.
imagination, it's the same. It's you.
Right.
It's this
Right. The
connection, this divine spark that was coming out. And when your divine spark is running the show, then anyone who's around you, anything that's around you, it's going to be okay. It's just
right.
going to it may if it's not joyous and happy, it's going to pass by and we're going to get
Right.
through it. And that's what I've had to do for these last few years where I'm just like, okay, everyone, I know people are questioning me. And it's like when you were saying at
Right.
the beginning, like how I'm like a spark of light or I might
Right.
piss you
Sandpaper.
off.
Right.
I
Yeah.
I am sure
Like
I've
you got
pissed
her.
you off, but you haven't
Well,
told
just
me
more like
that.
that. Yeah. Well,
But no,
sometimes
it's
you.
just because I know that I've said things
Right.
that are stuff that you're dealing with and that you're being confronted with, and I'm
Mhm.
confronting you with them. But
Right.
it's not me; it's the divine, and you're and you.
Right.
But the
Right.
thing is that you have enough of the divine spark revealed that you didn't look at me like the majority and get angry
Yeah.
or whatever and
Right.
just ignore me or make comments or
Mhm.
because I've had people that I've coached with where it's like everybody really does and everybody does like me.
Mhm.
And then once we get to really get into it, because I don't freaking surface talk, like,
Right.
I
Well,
can't
especially if
sit
that doesn't
around
do
and
them any
surface
good.
talk. What?
Yeah. It wouldn't be doing anybody any good. Like, you know what I mean? It's like if you
But
don't
they
get
hate that. People hate it.
when you said too, like you sometimes coach people that try to act like they have it all together too. And that's the other thing. It's like if you were to go to like, it's like bad analogy, but at the same point, like what if you, I mean, I guess like we'll say like your car. Say you need to get your car fixed, right? So you're going to go to the car, like to the, guy. And then what are you going to sit there and tell him how great your car is? Do you know what I mean? And when he says, oh, this needs to be fixed, you're like, oh, it's all fine. It's like the same type of thing. Like, we all have parts that we need to adjust and do those, or else we wouldn't be feeling, to change that, and sometimes those changes aren't going to be, it can make you feel like you've got, it's going to have you go through those, ups and downs, just like anything, but hopefully through those things that you don't drop as low as you did, at other times.
You
You
just
can just
can't
kind of,
take the lows. Don't look at them as lows.
it's just a, it's
It
just,
just is. It just
well, it's kind of
is.
like a mountain too, right? A mountain just happens to go certain ways, like a path will go up sometimes, and sometimes the path will take you around the corner this way. You know what I mean? You're still gonna, it's just, experience and life. And, this planet is very much that, like we were saying, like we were that one of the videos too about the, it's duality. There's, it's like you're going to be seeing a lot of those things. It's just the way that this
Yeah, and you need
experience
to
is.
see the duality in order to see what you're wanting or see the contrast, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you need to see the contrast. And it's just like how you can look back on how far you've come,
Right.
how much you've done. And I know years ago when I was kind of hemming and hawing, like the majority of people are, hemming and
Right.
hawing about, oh, I feel, I felt a nudge and a calling to, you know, I mean, I was doing my coaching, being a coach, but it was just at the time when I set up my coaching, it was like doing it in person, and then when
Hmm.
COVID hit, like I started my business, like legitimately made it into a business and everything right in the middle of all these changes.
Mm.
And I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe it's not time, or maybe I'll wait, but it's like, no. And that's what I'm saying about making videos of just like whatever you're thinking about.
Right, right.
And then whatever you're going through or your ascension process, if people just
Hmm.
said that, it like brings you into who you really are, like your
Well, I think,
true,
yeah, giving
it
yourself,
it
yeah,
brings you into your true essence, by, like, I mean, I've done videos or I've talked about stuff that I'm like, no, that's not my thing.
right.
So just took a little break there for a minute to talk to Natalie as she's going to the park. She goes to Mineral Park, which
Ah,
is the oldest park in America.
oh, wow, that's cool. Wow.
Yeah.
And it's just down the street from you guys? That's neat.
It's in Williamston, South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do they have to
It's
drive
it's
there or is it
literally
they
a
can?
mineral, like there's a spring
Oh, that's
there.
cool.
You can get water from there. And they have a water festival, spring water festival. I haven't
Wow,
been to it. But
that's
everything
cool.
here in the South, so we were talking about timelines and all that. Everything
Hmm.
here in the South, and my ex-husband came here from Seattle just 2 weeks ago, and he was so
Hmm.
confused because he's like, thought it's more conservative, but then there's all this, and I'm like, yeah, you're not understanding that it's
Hmm.
the churches, the government, the schools, they're all together to do this
Right,
operation on us, to do this
right.
this thing that we're going through. And
Hmm.
here it was started here. So literally where I live, the Civil War, like people were in the
Oh,
Civil War
interesting.
here.
Wow.
Okay, so it started here. So this is the first place where it's died that has died, if that makes sense.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. That would be one
The
of the first.
hustle and the bustle and
Mhm.
the commerce and all the stuff with how life was like, it was booming, quote unquote booming here. Like it started dying in the 90s. Well, that's when
Interesting.
this operation started really starting to make dents in it, okay, to get rid of the different operations that they have going that have
Right.
been funding our world. And so it's interesting, and it's a culture shock because in Washington and in Arizona, where you're at, in California, everything is new.
Right.
It's like they've just been in, you know what I mean? Like it's not
Like
falling
within the last, yeah,
apart.
couple hundred. Yeah. It's not like, yeah, it's not, yeah, there's not a lot of history that way.
Yeah. So
It's like
since
100
everything,
years or something.
time goes
Yeah.
in a circle, time is cyclical. That's why I'm saying. So this area before they came here in the 1700s,
Hmm.
the 1780s, whatever, late 1700s. Uh, it was a community living.
Mm.
People had gardens, all the stuff that we're bringing. We're bringing the rainbow people, all this. They use light frequency. They understood about all that.
Right.
They use that. The steeples, the churches were healing centers.
Mm.
Okay. So it's like the South, if people don't understand that, is like they're just the first ones to basically be off of this timeline, or
Right.
have these resources taken away. So like we're in this town, the town I live in, they have basically a self-appointed mayor. It's 6 people total, maybe 7 including her. But they're
Hmm.
just 6, 7 people that all got together and said, "Hey, do we want to we're going to run this."
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because there's no funding anymore. They don't do anything. They don't get any funding from the state. And I know this for a fact because I made a
Oh, wow.
meeting with the mayor within a month of living here. I made a
Wow.
meeting with the mayor because I wanted to find out what the economic development plan was.
Right. Oh yeah. And they're like, there isn't one, right?
Yeah, they don't have one. And they're like, Monica, it's not like there's a big truck of money coming backing up. Yeah, I like
Mm,
Trump's $1 billion infrastructure for buildings and everything else.
right.
And that's what
Right.
I'm trying to do is I'm positioning myself to be one of, I want to be, I don't know if I'm gonna be ambassador, you
Right. For
know,
some,
because
for
they
the
are
South, right?
hire, they are
Right.
not hiring, but they are putting together ambassadors.
Right.
And
To
I would
areas.
love
Yeah.
that. I would love that to be like, you know, in the South. I have a whole economic development plan. I have a whole
Right.
plan. Of course, the mayor's like, oh, we'd be happy to take a look at it. It's like,
Right. Yeah. You're like, no, I'm not giving you my
no.
plan.
So
You
that's
can
I
take it.
wonder. It's like when the different I'm just getting excited. And all of this stuff that we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
that Allison and I are doing, the stuff that and all the stuff, other stuff that I'm doing, it's like I realize it's like, Monica, you're doing all this stuff. All the stuff that you're doing, you would have had to like start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you
Right.
imagine if we just waited like just right now? Okay, I'm gonna get on TikTok. I never would get on TikTok if I didn't get on then.
Right. Right. Yeah. Right.
Where would you be?
Oh, I know, right? That's the thing. It's like be totally different. Like that's yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like
But
realizing too,
that's with
like,
everybody realizing if you don't follow your heart's nudging,
yeah,
what
you're not
are
going
you doing to humanity?
right. No, that's a really good like point. It's true. Like, and then you're
Huge.
being withholding your that
Light.
from others, then that is,
You're
being
withholding your light. You're withholding your fire,
hmm
which were fire creation. So you're basically, it's like I always think of that song from Sunday school. This little
oh,
light
like
of
the right,
mine,
yeah.
I'm gonna let it shine. It's like, come on. I sing that song and I loved it when I was a kid.
Hmm.
It's like, don't let Satan it out. I'm gonna let it shine. Remember that?
Right, yeah.
Maybe not because you're Mormon, but
Yeah, but
or
I
you
knew it
were
from other
Mormon.
like from
But
pop
it's
culture
like,
type stuff, yeah.
but you guys know that are
Hmm.
listening.
I
You
do
know
too.
that song, that Sunday school song, and
Hmm.
that is it. I know, Lucy. Come here, Lucy. Come say hi.
Oh,
It's
oh,
our Great
Lucy.
Dane,
Oh, she's so
Lucy.
sweet. Look at her. Oh,
No,
she's a
they're
girl.
all like making sure I'm okay because
I
now
know
they
they're
know
coming
I'm
in to
here by
check on you,
myself.
right? They're all
Yeah,
coming to
they
check on
are.
you.
They are, which I love. I love my animals. See, here comes Daisy.
Oh
Daisy's a
goodness,
big
here comes
basset
the next
hound.
one. Oh, here,
She's a
look at her.
European basset.
Look at
She's
her.
huge.
She's so funny.
I know.
She's just making her rounds.
Like,
I'll
no,
check out.
no.
Right. She's like, all right, checking it out. All right, bye. Right. That's so
Yeah.
funny.
Her and Lucy are good friends. Like, they love each other.
That's so funny. They don't, yeah, like the short and stubby one and the tall one.
Yeah.
So funny.
But
I love,
everybody loves Daisy. All the
oh, yeah.
pets, like, all the pets snuggle with her. It's funny. She's just like
Oh,
but
sweet.
anyway, it's so much going on, but yeah, not shining your light and then making videos or having conversations or just
Hmm.
constantly the only dialogue that anybody has essentially is complaining about why their light isn't
It's
being
so,
seen or isn't shown.
right. There you go. That's true. Yeah. Like you have to just do it. Right. It's,
Yeah, well, that's why I shine my light and I'm
hmm
shining it for myself.
hmm
So I never look like I don't even know how many people are following me on X. I don't even know. Like
Oh, there's like, yeah. Yeah.
somebody said to me on X the other day, they said that response that response and that profile is very AI. And I was like, what? No, this isn't AI. I'm a real person.
Right. Yeah.
And they're
That's
like,
funny.
sure, right. Like anybody thinks like that or something like this. And I'm like,
Oh,
sorry.
funny.
I go, it's such a high level of consciousness that you don't recognize it. You just don't
And you think
recognize
I'm
it.
AI. That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. They thought that of like, they're like, no, your picture and everything. You're like, cause I have the DNA strand. I'm like, what are you?
That's funny. Yeah. They're like, you'll
And
judge me.
AI is us anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like Chat GPT and all that. The people that aren't having success with it, it's because they're not putting their own unique light into it and telling
Right.
ChatGPT. See, I'm basically asked ChatGPT to organize my light to present.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I'm not asking it like, oh, can you help me make a podcast about the planetary alignment and what's going to
Right.
happen,
Right.
and then add some fear-based stuff in there so that I can get
Right. So
people to
everybody,
watch
right.
it. Click on
Right.
it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm just like, whatever's on my heart, that I get stuff in my heart, and then I start seeing it that, yeah, people are dealing with this.
Right.
All my messages, and I think I have a clip saying this yesterday. I was like, I'm not trying to tell people what to do. I want them to tell themselves what to do. I just
Right.
want to
Right.
be I'm just trying to be an example.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to be like, actually, to be honest, I constantly love talking and about this stuff, and I read about it, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know where the people are, and I want to find people that also want to talk about this esoteric stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And then people who want to live around and just talk about
Right. Talk about it.
the
Right.
planet, the Gaia, and like that want to like wallow around in herbs and I don't know.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, I can do that. And so I'm like, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to show everybody that I'm doing it. And then they are going to do it. But then if they don't do it, it doesn't change because,
No, it doesn't change, but you do. Yeah.
but I'm realizing and I'm seeing it by showing my light and not hiding it out of fear and ridicule, because I'm feared,
Mhm.
ridiculed, laughed at, made fun of, all this stuff happens. But I realize that it's just that's how they feel.
Mhm.
That's how
Yes.
they're feeling if they were to get
Right.
out there and all this stuff. And it's like, well, you obviously you watched my video 35 times. So
Right.
um,
Yeah.
you know, it's like you just want this too.
Right.
And so more and more people are starting to come out, but I just feel everybody's like held back,
Mm-hmm.
holding themselves back, kind of waiting with bating breath, thinking like I was like when I at first when they like went through the inauguration process and then everybody's talking about it. And then I realized, okay, because I'm like, well, I don't want to talk about this stuff because then it looks like I think that it's real. But
Right.
then I
Right.
realized, okay, what is real is I'm multidimensional
Mm-hmm.
and I'm able to see all the different dimensions now.
Right. Right.
And the people that are at the dimensions of just thinking that this is all like that Trump is sleeping in the White House,
Right. Yeah.
wakes up next to Melania. Good morning, hun.
Right. Right. Right.
You
Does all
know,
that.
you think
Right.
that?
Do what? That he does that?
No, it's
No.
like I'm saying that to the
Oh.
people. Like, you really think
Right.
that?
Right.
Like people who
Right.
think that. But when I'm like being on social media, see, that's the thing that's tricky. It's like, how much do you talk to kind of where people are at? Do you know what I
Right.
mean? But we're all
Mm-hmm.
at different levels. Like I
Right.
reach the people that are also doing the other creators,
Right. Right. That are
and the other people, the us people that are like, yeah, we get it. And then, but they're still like, Monica it still feels a little, and it's like, just keep
right.
on going. So I reach those people, and then the people that are super negative and that think that this is all like, there's people that are so upset right now.
Right. Yeah.
And it's only because they don't have money in their account.
Right. It's
You
all.
know
Yeah. I'm
it
like, wait.
is.
Yeah. I'm like, because it didn't somehow magically flip the switch, and it didn't.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
never going to flip a switch, and it's
Mm-mm.
never going to flip a switch. You
That
have to
wouldn't.
know. You have to know each thing. Was there a flip? You know what
Mm-mm.
switch got flipped that told me to go, and I had to demand, like I had to rail Derek to go buy Vietnam Dong, the Vietnam,
Right.
because
Right.
it came. I never even heard of that. Why am I thinking of this? It's
Right.
like 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever. I get this thing of Vietnam Dong. And I'm like, okay. And then learn it and whatever I knew about the currency thing. And it's like, oh, so that's part of it. So I was like, Derek, do we have that? And he's like, well, no, because we have the
Mm,
Iraqi dinar because he had bought that way back 15
right.
years ago because we've thought this was going to happen all this time.
Right. Right.
But it's just that I insisted on following that.
Right.
I'm just on following it. And we had to go through, like, we had to go to a special bank and like do all this stuff to buy it. Um, but it was just like each thing step by step by step, knowing that it's like, well, this is going with my heart. So this is going to go take it somewhere.
Right.
But also, I think about whatever we're putting out, we're
Mm-hmm.
getting back.
Right.
And these 3 days that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
these 3 days that we're in, or whatever, we're at the 22nd. So
Right.
through the 25th, this
Right.
is like, that's why I'm like, yeah, let's record and do everything we want to do because
Right.
this is anchoring kind of what we're going to be doing
Right.
in
Oh,
the
for all the right. Exactly. As
in
it,
the next decade, let's say,
right.
or next
Yeah.
20 years,
And be
really.
doing those things that you
Ooh, look at your
love and
aura.
want to do.
Look at
Ooh, oh, ooh, look at that. It's pretty.
look
I
at
like
it.
the, yeah.
There's a little bit of blurry, but I mean, it's like, whoo,
Ooh,
open
yeah.
and
Much better than it
expansive.
was, than it's been.
Yeah. Oh, did I send that to you? Let me see. So I am just for the podcast people, I am doing I have a software from Genius Insight, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just a sound and frequency software, and it uses
Cool. Yeah.
scalar and PEMF and
Mm-hmm.
Rife and quantum entanglement and a whole bunch of other things. Do you know that they have PMF masks now?
Is it really? Oh, wow.
Like
Like the
you
face mask you put on?
Yeah,
Like
so I
like
actually
those.
was going to send you this because I wanted this company, I think we'll call them for to put these devices in
Mm-hmm.
our center. It's
Mm-hmm.
literally like the masks that have the
Like the
LED
LED one?
red.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that where it's soft like that. You put it on, but it's PEMF.
Oh,
So
wow.
what PEMF is pulse electromagnetic field,
Mm-hmm.
pulsating electromagnetic field. So I have a crystal, I have a mat because a full PMF mat, it's like $5,000.
Mm.
So I have one that was like $1,200 that's encrusted with crystals. It's really
Oh, wow.
heavy, but
Mm-hmm.
they're super lightweight, and they now have them in a mask, and they now have this company that's been in business for only 10 years where they have it looks almost like an exam bed
Mm-hmm.
where it's got a electric, you know how it goes up
Right.
for
They can
them.
lift. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's a PMF mat,
Oh, wow.
and it's got a beautiful wooden bottom on it and everything, and then they have the masks. So this is a whole treatment we can have.
Right. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you could be like in the like I want to have just tons of little kind of areas, little
Right.
this is
Like
where the
little,
European spa kind of
like,
came into play. So
right. Little,
European
yeah.
spas, you go in to like a central area, and then there's all these different rooms,
Mm.
and they have different treatments, and you're nude at the European spas. My
Right.
husband and
Right.
I actually got kicked out of the sauna because we weren't naked.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
I would be naked now, but back then,
You were
no.
like, right.
Yeah, that was in 2016. But anyway, but we'll have all these little areas, where people can just they can just come into the center, not to it's not about like, oh, I got to have services booked or whatever. Right. Like,
Right.
I want it to be like, it's like they just come in. Can't you? Oh, I love it. Think about us just walking around and saying hi to everybody and
Right.
seeing how their treatments are going. They're
Right.
just have,
Right.
so the PEMF, what it does is it like vibrates your cells
Right. The,
and gets clears frequency. So clears
right.
frequency out. I'm going to do a full scanning on your emotional panel
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
just because I want, like, so I do. So this is one way that I do this. Like when I'm really like wanna, like, let's say that you could text me and say, "Oh,
Mhm.
Monica, can you just
Really.
do a quick balance on my emotions?"
Mhm.
You know, and then I can just do it, like go in there, and I don't need to look at it and like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Dig into it. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times
I,
people are worried that it's going to show something, but
well, and it
again, like
does, but
it
I'm
does,
not.
but
Yeah, people are worried that it's going to show like something that they're trying to hide
no, I was going to say it's just like anything. It's like
from
again,
themselves.
right? Yeah. It's like when people try and like not tell me things, like when I work at the hospital, it's like it doesn't make sense. Like you just need to be okay with it is what it is. It's like when I ask people, it's like about things like if they smoke or drink or do these things, and I'm like, it really does not matter. Like when you like any doctor, any nurse, or even yourself, it's like I just need to know what this
Yeah,
is, just so we
so we
can
can
work
move
with it.
forward.
Do you know what I mean? So we can work with it. It doesn't. So lying actually is counterproductive with it. It's kind of like with this, you don't want to be like, well, no, that's not right. I mean, unless it's really isn't. But sometimes you have things that'll show up that you don't even realize it's like 6 layers down, from that can show up on these things that,
Well, yeah,
are
I
really.
mean, you can go super deep. And what's
Mhm.
great is when somebody is really open to, they're really wanting to clear their field. Most people don't, though. Most people, they'll have a couple sessions with me and then they disappear and hide, and I can't find them
Right. Yeah. It's kind of
because they
weird. Yeah.
don't.
So,
And because you know how I am, like, I'm like, yeah, that's what you got to do. Yeah.
right.
I mean, you're going to continue to do this. It's so cool right now. There's like rainbows all over my
Oh,
office
that's cool.
from the light, from the lights. I don't know from what. But this allows you, so it's like I can go in and it's like I can see, oh, your top emotion is,
Right.
sadness. What's going on? Like, are you feeling sad? But you know what most people
Right.
do? They're like, they spend
No.
their time telling me how
Why?
that's not,
Justifying it or
what do you
something.
mean? I'm
Yeah.
not sad. I'm not sad.
Yeah.
Really?
No, you're not sad about anything. I'm like, come on, everybody's got every emotion within, like all
Yeah.
these things.
It's like you're not sad about anything. Well, like here's something that's kind of just to make it interesting for the podcast and stuff that you can find out. So, like one of the things in there, like I can actually tell this stuff now because I can I read and feel frequencies in color, right? But uh you can look up and see if somebody has, like, I did a coaching session with somebody and it shows lust in their
Mm,
field.
interesting.
Okay, so lust is one of the emotions that's on here. I don't know where it is on yours because it's here. Let me just stop it and let me look.
Hmm.
Um, so they had lust as number 2. Okay, yours is farther down and it's considered balanced. It's in
Hmm.
green. Um, but it's like, so people do, people don't want it. And then like if I see a man, right? Which a lot of times you do, I do see that if it's like on their top 2. And
Well, yeah,
that's,
a lot of men have that. Yeah,
they
right.
do. And that's, but what's, but it's just to show you and to talk about what I love about it is to show, okay, if you have lust in your field, meaning in your top emotions that need to be cleared, or in your bottom
Hmm.
ones, okay, when they're on the bottom, for me on the bottom of the list, that means that they're kind of like
Hmm.
chronically bothering you. But that means that remember when we were trying to learn about that succubus
Hmm. Oh,
incubus
yeah.
thing? Well,
Right.
that's when I started learning how that shows up and trying to figure out, well, what do you mean that I'm being taken by that? Remember how she said
Right.
that?
Right. Yeah.
And it's, if there is pornography, which comes in
Hmm.
the flow of Netflix or any of
Yeah.
that, because they put it's all pornography, because it's a frequency.
Right.
Call it what you want. It's just the number, whatever the frequency code of it
Right.
is. Uh, that comes in your field. That comes in your field, and you are being affected by it.
Right.
So
Right.
it matters. It matters what the people that you live with are
Right.
watching on their phones, what
Mm-hmm.
they bring in the house. And I contend with this issue all the time, that I have to constantly say, that I demand that this be like this,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm living on the higher frequencies. Derek is, he is, but he is doing it like he's just like somebody who's like put into the situation like
Right.
this,
Right.
like he's like a regular guy that was like eating pizza. He doesn't think about any of this stuff. And it's like, but
Right.
he's been forced, in order to be in alignment with me, he's been forced to change.
Do some of those things. Right.
But it's still a little bit hard, but it's just controlling your frequencies, because they do affect you, what you do. Like you might make a decision in an instant that you would have not made.
Right. Based on what you've got in there too. Right. Like you said.
Yeah, based on what's in your field. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing with the lust is a big thing, and it causes confusion because you don't know why. It's like I was saying earlier, like your thoughts, that it's not your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your thoughts. Um, it's it's the thoughts of whoever was
Right.
talking on the phone.
Right. Or whoever. Right. Yeah.
But all of this, we've been talking for a while, just talking about parsing our frequencies and getting rid of the ones that are not our true self. And the way you
Right.
know that they're not your true self, or they're not true when you're listening to somebody else on social media, is if it makes
Right.
you feel fear, if it makes you feel confused, if it makes you
Right.
feel anxious,
Right. Any of those things. Right.
any of those things, then you need to know that that person's ego is what's talking.
Mm-hmm.
It is not their divine true self, because the divine true self, when somebody hears the divine speaking, they feel like they're at home, they feel comfortable, they feel excited,
Mm-hmm.
they get energized, they feel enlightened in their
Right.
life, and they want to move forward. So that's how you know. And I tell my members this all the time, because they're like, Monica, they'll send me a video. Monica, look what they're saying about, whatever. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like, what does that have to do with what you're doing?
Right. Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, but it's like right now, I'm just like, okay, get to the details so we can get to the funding, so we can start. Like, I loved it seeing Trump putting the $1 billion funding, old world buildings coming to back. So that's showing you
Right.
all of this that I've been saying.
It's coming. Yeah. It's in
It's
the, yeah.
obviously true.
Right.
This morning I like looked at a video with a cow, a fluffy cow in a pond with a duck is his friend. And I'm like, oh my God, come on, Trump. I want to get my cow.
Right. Yeah.
I want
Right.
to snuggle my cow, and I want a little duck. That's what I
Right.
want. I want to see the duck and the cow be friends. And I
Right.
want
How
to
cute.
see, I was out there this morning looking at lumens. He's a peacock. My male peacock. I actually have two males. I think Michael is a peacock,
Oh
but
yeah.
or is a male peacock. But I was just like looking at them today, and I was just like, this is so crazy how I love this. Like Derek
Right.
and I
Yeah.
are we're just looking out the window, looking at the
Great.
peacock.
We've got peacocks out here.
But it's so amazing, and it's like
Right.
fulfilling. It's so
Right.
fulfilling.
Right. A different type of thing that you wouldn't have ever, like, you wouldn't have thought at one point, but now it's like one of those
Well, and
that
it's
you
like
wouldn't even
feeling like I
realize.
gave myself the permission, and then it's like now it seems like it wasn't even a big deal.
Out. Right. That's fun though.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Derek asked me last night, he said, "How would you feel if you woke up and there was a donkey in the yard?" And I'm like, "Don't
You're
do
like,
that to me. I
donkey.
I want my donkey."
All right. A little one of those little ones. They're cute. Those little guys.
I love them. There's two white donkeys that live up the road, and I'm just like, "You guys are so cute."
Oh, geez. They are cute. All the little
I
animals. It's
want
cool. All the
donkeys
little,
and my Black Panther or my Black
right? There you
Leopard.
go. A
Is that
Black
good
Panther.
combination?
Right? Yeah, right. Got to get the Black Panther.
Yeah, well, I'll see one day. Even though I learned that there really isn't such thing as a Black Panther. That was a made up thing.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, they're called leopards.
no, they're leopards. They just don't have spots, right? Is that what it is? Those
They're
ones just
well, they
don't.
do. It's just their coloring
You
is
can't
like
see it.
black on
Oh,
black
okay.
kind of thing.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, it's crazy. Well, it was great talking today.
Yes, great. Yes. Always good, Steph.
And
Like that.
I just ultimately, I want everybody to utilize this podcast as a source of comfort, a source of energy to
Mhm.
feel like there's other people that truly, truly are walking through this fire
Right. Get it.
and
Right.
our
Yeah.
hair is not getting singed and we're
Mhm.
doing it
Right.
and we're making huge moves in our lives that are we're a little shaky, but we're moving through it and
Right.
we're realizing, oh my gosh, we are creating our own reality.
Right.
I don't have to live under this. This is just
Right.
what I was
And you don't
told.
have to
And
be
then the people that
miserable.
I'm living around or working around. But then once you remove, it's just like right now, I cannot get myself to really know because I already know all the things, I know
Right.
that, but I don't know how. I don't know how we're going to get the
Mm-hmm.
old world buildings back, like
Right.
exactly
Yeah.
when, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But now when Trump mentioned that, it was just like everyone's all texting me, and I was just like, yeah. They're like, well, aren't
Yeah.
you
You're like, of
excited?
course.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's going to be.
what do you think the dancing videos are? It's because I know this is coming. It's
Right.
like
Right.
I knew all this was coming, and it's like,
Right.
and a few of us knew this was coming, and we have been telling you guys. So now, you
Right.
guys, it's all here. Just try to reserve for a moment. Just take everything that you think you're supposed to care. You're supposed to think that Trump is
Right.
Hitler. You're supposed to think Elon's doing this. That's not true.
Right.
That's just so that you don't discover that you have your own light that we desperately need.
Right. Yeah. You'll be all scared of it and thinking that it's something. Yeah. That
Yeah.
it's not.
And just think about what we said earlier. If I didn't come out, if I, and I could have people on here and I've got people that could do reviews. If I didn't come out and shine my light and continue consistently do it, so many thousands of people would not be showing their light now.
Right. It would be. Yeah. True.
And I'm not saying that like this isn't me. This is the
No.
divine.
Right. Right. It's just you're following through on what you and that which they should do too. I was going to say that's the thing. It's like we all have things to share that way. And you're a
Yeah.
unique blend of that.
Yeah. It's
Right.
just like showing it. And then then it makes other people want to show what they have. So I hope more people will show their light, get out from behind the camera
Right. Yeah.
or if you're in front of the camera and you're complaining and
Don't complain.
you're
Like do something
letting
good.
your
Yeah.
ego and wanting to get followers, wanting to get likes and making up stuff so that people are scared because that's what gets you somewhere.
Like right. Yeah.
You're going to end up falling and you're going to end up feeling isolated. And I actually think there's a couple people that spiritual stuff that's going on, the people that
Mm-hmm.
the old spiritualists, but they're still coming out
Mm-hmm.
there now, they're the ones that are spreading fear. They're the ones that are saying the
Mm-hmm.
Hitler stuff. All those people,
Right. Right.
you've been co-opted by the same
Mm-hmm.
side. It's like that you've been co-opted because you're supposed to be your unique self. There are no rules.
Right. Yep.
Extraterrestrials are not demonic.
Right. Yeah. They're not,
Okay,
yeah.
that's all programming. So every single time you hear these things in your mind that float, ask stop and say, is this what I think?
Or is this what I've been told?
Or
Yeah.
is this a program? And then it's
Hmm.
like, and how do you find out if it's a program? You trace the thought back. So
Mm,
where did it originate? Where did, oh, well, let me see. I've always heard my mom say this, or I've always heard this. And then
right.
you find out that that's a saying that's in like religion or something like that.
Right.
And then you could just
Yeah.
say, oh, no, then that's ridiculous.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. We're just parsing the energies and wanting ourselves to be free and living your full self and living with abandonment so that
Right.
and then you're going to be happier and freer. So the big split is coming up. We're all feeling it.
Right. And I think it's like that thing of, whether it's an actual physical thing or just complete, it'll be interesting to see. It is happening. You can see it.
Well, and the thing to remember, and we'll just leave with this, is that there's two ascensions going on.
Mm,
There's your own
which,
personal ascension,
right.
which you can complete
Hmm.
before the Gaia's ascension.
Right.
Because Gaia is going to ascend, which just means that the frequency of the planet is higher. And so it's going to separate us.
Yeah.
And if you're not frequency specific, you're not magnetized enough, then you will be going, you're just going to still be on, you're just going to be on you're going to have
Hmm.
a different experience that will give you more lessons to help you understand what I'm talking about.
Right. So it's like, I just have more. Yeah. Right. It's true.
So you're going to get through it and but at any point in time, okay, if once you do this and you're like, where's Monica? Where's Allison?
Right.
Okay, any point in time, you can jump onto that timeline. Okay.
Hmm.
So you just have to match the frequency of what it is that you want, of where it is you want to be.
Right.
Okay. And that's just little things. I did this by teeny little things.
As I
And
say, like little micro choices, right? There's
little
those things.
choices
Yeah.
every day. And then
Accumulate. Yeah.
there's been moments, even in this last week, I would even say last night,
Hmm.
I had a huge thing happen to me last night spiritually.
Hmm.
There's something going on. And anyway, and I'm like, I woke up and I'm like, I'm a totally different, something shifted.
Hmm.
Something shifted. Like I feel even more clear, more excited, more like we're doing this.
Right. Right.
We are doing it. This is incredible.
Right. It's going.
So give yourself some wins by just little fun things that you
Right.
like and being consistent with something that you like to do and that you love, start a new craft, whatever it is to bring in that
Right.
high frequency and that love frequency, and we're going to get through this and you're going to be okay.
Right. Exactly.
So everybody have a wonderful day. Today is January 21st of 2025.
22nd.
Oh, the 22nd. Okay, I
Yeah.
want to make sure we got that right. Okay, January 22nd of
22nd.
2025. We're going to kind of mark this down and let's see where we are the next
Yeah.
time we meet up with you for episode 3.
Yes.
Let's
What
see
about?
where we are because I
Yes.
think that we're going to come back to you on the 25th.
Yes.
Because that's the big day of the culmination and
All of
all
it.
the planets are
Right.
aligned.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And that
The group.
vortex of energy is going to be kicking back. So
All
get
lined up.
ready. Get yourself
Right. It's like,
ready.
right. Exactly.
It's the
Sounds
most
good.
exciting
That'll
time
be
to be alive. So be happy, be excited, and spread all your love.
right.
Okay.
Exactly. All
See
right.
you next
Talk to you
time.
soon. All right.